How to quickly assemble your advisor's digital toolbox. Every advisor needs a digital toolbox with these contents to survive and thrive through the pandemic and beyond. Welcome to The Rare Advisor, a business model supercharged with repeatable and recurring events. My name is Mike Walters. I'm the CEO here at USA Financial, and today I'm joined by Mark Mersman, our Chief Marketing Officer, and we're going to be diving deep into today's Advisor Digital Toolbox. All the things you need to be able to have at your fingertips to not only survive here during the pandemic, but equally important, add that much more horsepower to how you're going to run your business post-pandemic. So Mark, with that, I know you've put a tremendous amount of thought into this, and you've got a white paper that's going to be coming hot off the presses here in the near future. So there is a tremendous amount of information here. But maybe if you could give us that first initial flyby of kind of what you mean when you say an advisor's digital toolbox.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure that our conversation today will be everything. With the technology and marketing today, it feels like there's something new released every single week, which is kind of cool and fun. And yet it can be distracting at the same time because there's so many shiny objects. But really what I wanted to get to is looking at some really simple tools that advisors can use really easily. Many of these that we'll talk about are free or come with very limited costs. So the first one is one that we've recently gone through and kind of scrutinized from a compliance perspective, Mike, is Bombbomb, which is basically it's a video tool. Think of kind of a video text message, but that you would send through email. So you capture it really quick on your computer, fire it off. And the idea behind it is really just to create a personalized message. So
it's individual.
Yeah.
You're doing it individual. It's not like one video that you're sending to everybody. You're doing this specifically to that person.
Right. Now, you can do it that way. You can certainly use it to broadcast a message out to all of your clients if you wanted to take that approach, which certainly is probably a worthy endeavor. But the really cool part is when you can send that individual video to somebody and say, hey, Mike, this is Mark. Just wanted to touch base with you. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with you tomorrow during our meeting and looking forward to connecting. Please bring this and this, and so that you're ready and can't wait to connect with you. I think it can really help to set the stage for an experience, whether it's with a client or a prospective client. The other thing that you can do with it, you can probably help somebody who might have a little, I guess, fear or apprehension or concern with technology and use it as a chance to let them know, hey, this is how we'll be doing it. If it, especially if it's your first time connecting with them, the cool thing about the video is it comes right in the email. You click on it and it's going to pop up. So pretty much anybody that gets it is going to be able to use it. And, it's not like you need to log in or anything to watch the video. It's a quick, easy push a button and you'll figure it out.
So you're saying that for maybe one of your older clientele who's still kind of catching up in the category of video conferencing, right, you could send them a Bombbomb that then explains to them how the Zoom meeting is going to work tomorrow or whatever. Yeah,
whatever tool they're using, just to give them a heads up and, hey, this is what to expect. Click on the link and then, just type in the password or whatever it is, direction wise. I would really focus on keeping it short. You don't want to have this a real long drawn out thing, but I think a simple message. I'd also look to use it after you do a meeting with a client to say, hey, it was great talking with you. Looking forward to connecting with you again. If you have any questions, feel free to, reach out to the office or what have you. So it's a really cool tool, a way to kind of personalize things. There's an add-on or a plug-in, if you will, that goes right on inside of your email. So it's pretty user-friendly in that regard. So kind of a slick thing.
Almost like a video voicemail.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's really no different than a voicemail, except for it's, personal touch. And nowadays, I think especially, it's probably more impactful than a voicemail because they get to see you. And, if we're not able to interact with clients as frequently face to face, it's another way to kind of get your face in front of them as well. So Same thing, we've got a text messaging solution that we offer, but a lot of advisors haven't used text messaging, whether it's because of a compliance reason, or they just don't always think, or maybe they are using it and not being compliant. But the text messaging as a marketing solution is really powerful, and I think especially when you can send out some group messages. Obviously, you need to play along with some of the communication rules to make sure that you're not just spamming them. But at the same time, I think that's one that everybody needs to be thinking about.
Well, and you're right, because the beauty of the text messaging thing is texting today is kind of where email was years ago. Now you send someone an email and they may or may not see it because they get so many emails, and then it goes to the junk box and all these other things can happen and go wrong. Whereas you send someone a text, they're pretty much reading it no matter what. There are very few people who are skipping over their texts. Yeah,
you look at, like, in the world of marketing, depending on who your audience is, you might celebrate a 15 or a 20% open rate. Whereas text message, I don't know the exact stats, but everything that I've seen is north of 90%, that people are going to actually see it and read it. And, you feel that vibration in your pocket and you kind of naturally are going to gravitate towards it. So I think it's one that's probably overlooked a little bit, and something that you can use to create a little bit of an experience.
Right, definitely.
A lot of advisors too will struggle with some graphic design stuff, and whether it's creating a simple newsletter, whether it's a little postcard or some sort of graphic that maybe you want to include inside of your email. Probably the best user-friendly free tool that's out there is Canva, canva.com. You don't have to be a design expert to go in there. They got a bunch of templates. There's a bunch that are free. It's really easy to edit, whether it's you or somebody on your team that's going to go in and create a social media post or something to kind of dress up some of the activity that you have going on. I think, Mike, put it this way, even you could probably navigate inside of this thing pretty easy. And I know you fancy yourself a designer sometimes.
The real question is, could Brent do it? We finally refer to DOS Boy.
Yeah, we won't put it in his lap. But
so back to that for just a moment, because I've actually not heard of that tool before. But whether you're doing an email, a social media post, or does it go into print as well? Like when you say
you can do postcards, you can create, if you're doing, physical mail invitations or what have you, or little flyers that you want to create. It's super easy. You don't have to have any fancy software to download or anything. It's really easy to navigate. So it's kind of Microsoft Word, if you will, level, in terms of navigating. And if you can click around in a Word document, you can do just fine on that thing.
Good. Perfect.
So another one, a lot of advisors wrestle with writing, and, they might be concerned with, I don't have somebody to edit it or clean this up or proof it or what have you. There's a tool out there called Hemingway, and basically you draft something and then you can put it right into this system, and it will essentially act as your editor. And it will give you a readability level, a grade level. You might be a little offended that you write at the first grade level, but in many ways, they actually, readership wise, you kind of want to write at a little bit lower reading level. So
yeah, I don't know if this is still the case, but years ago they used to say that all the military handbooks were written to a fourth grade level because that was kind of old enough that you could get some detailed information relayed, but young enough, if you will, that everybody could make sense of it. And you're right; you'd be surprised at how low a level you really should be writing to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of advisors wrestle with that because they don't. That writing might not be their thing, but even just having something to do a quick little edit for you on to clean up anything, it's a pretty simple tool. Another one, and I know that you've used this, it's not a perfect system, but Otter. Yeah. So if you Otter.ai, and basically this is a voice transcription service. So you can, and the neat thing about Otter is that they do have a connection with Zoom. So if you're using Zoom, for example, we're using Zoom for us to record this. if we wanted, we could have Otter connected to this and basically provide an entire transcription of our dialogue. And, it could be something, if you've ever wrestled with the idea of writing a blog, a lot of people may not want to sit there and hammer away at writing one, but if they can just dictate it and talk through something and then have it all transcribed, I know it's not a perfect transcription every time, but it gets pretty darn close, and it's a pretty slick system.
Yeah, for what you're trying to accomplish, especially if you're doing something like what we're doing right now, as you mentioned, to capture the data so that somebody can at least have a reference point and say, oh, wow, I heard Mark say something, about 5 minutes into this conversation, and then they want to go find it because you gave them, a name of one of these tools. It's a great reference piece.
Right. Yeah. And if you're using, video blogging as a marketing tool, what you can end up doing is you can basically take the transcription of your video and then pop that in underneath it inside of your blog post, and it will help you with SEO and the search engine optimization side of things. So really a slick one. And then just two last quick ones here. One is Buffer, which is really used for social media posting. It gives you one central place to, post a comment or a link or what have you, and then it can disseminate it to Facebook and Twitter and wherever you want in the social world. So kind of a simple tool, and you can schedule it out in advance. So you can schedule a month's worth of posts in advance using that system. So again, and that one's free, so you can plug into that. And then finally, Mike, the last one that I'll mention is Zoom, or really any video conferencing tool you need to have in today's day and age. Zoom happens to be one that we work with quite frequently, and I know we also use Microsoft Teams, so it's kind of a no-brainer for you to have that. And really, it just kind of depends. We've found that Zoom works great for bigger sessions, and Teams can oftentimes work really good for individual one-on-one type of sessions.
Yeah, especially for advisors who are already affiliated with USA Financial, because of our relationship with Microsoft, you have access to turning on Microsoft Teams if you haven't done that already. And as Mark points out, I would say that Teams best fits for smaller size groups. If you're doing one-on-one or just 2 or 3 people at a time, sometimes that's a little easier, just the way you can shoot an email to somebody so quickly through Outlook and things of that sort. And it works well at those smaller levels. But I would emphasize what Mark just said. If you're just talking about running a group session, so if you're doing an event, and we're going to have further discussions on running large video events and conferencing events and so on. If you're using larger scale items, then it seems to be that Zoom is a bit superior in that category. And then the other component I would give a win to Zoom on is if you're going to record the session. The recordings come out better through Zoom than they do through at least any of the other video conference tools that we've used so far. A lot of them have the recording function, and depending on what you want to use it for, you'll get by with them. But if you're going to really distribute a recording to a large volume of people subsequently, kind of like we do with this conversation, where it ends up on YouTube and everywhere else, then I would probably recommend using Zoom as that recording mechanism there.
Yeah, absolutely. And for what it's worth, YouTube is certainly the video platform to use if you're trying to get the benefit of search engine optimization with your video blogs and that sort of thing. YouTube's the platform to use. I know, there are certainly some others, but since Google owns YouTube, that's certainly the one to run with in terms of mass marketing.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Mark. That's a great launching pad. It's a great collection that you gave people. Hopefully, I would encourage you, rewind back through that, snag all those names that Mark shared with you. As always, you can reach out to us and our staff for extra assistance. And the favor that we ask of you is, if this is helpful to you, please like, subscribe, comment, whether you're looking at this on YouTube, as Mark was just discussing, or in any kind of a podcast format, or whatever the case might be. They all work pretty similar. You know how it works. Please like, subscribe, comment. That's what allows us to then make sure we're giving you the kind of information that helps you grow your practice. So until next time, this is The Rare Advisor, and we will be back speaking to Mark Mersman on a host of different topics, digitally speaking, if you will, on the next few videos. So please stay tuned. Talk to you soon.